You awaken each day to the same gray light, to routines that feel hollow, to the ache of wondering why you rise at all. You have sifted through motivational cliches and empty affirmations, praying for a thunderbolt of purpose to strike you, yet the sky remains silent. You stand at the forge of your life, staring at unshaped metal and waiting for some external hammer to shape you. But the real fire burns within, and only you can stoke it into a flame fierce enough to temper your destiny. You slip from bed and feel the chill of possibility slipping through your bones, a reminder that every moment left unattended grows colder, more brittle. You step into your day and go through motions practiced so often they blur into one another. The same commute, the same tasks, the same half-hearted smiles. And you ask yourself, somewhere between the elevator ding and the first sip of lukewarm coffee, what if this is all there is? You feel the threat of meaninglessness pressing in, urging you to surrender to comfort, to inertia, to the small death of complacency. But before you succumb, you pause. You catch the flicker of thought, that desire for more, that refuses to be quenched. It whispers, forge meaning here. Forge it now. You recognize that meaning is not bestowed from on high. It is hammered out in the crucible of your choices, your broken pieces, your daring leaps. It is born in the tension between purpose and resistance, an alloy stronger than either alone. You choose to summon the furnace. You begin by naming the raw ore of your longing, a cause that makes your heart race, a question that wakes you in the night, a vision that glints at the edges of your mind. You speak it aloud. I will create a life that matters, you say, tasting each word like sparks on your tongue. The moment you name it, you have called down heat. You have ignited the first small ember of dedication. You feed the fire with consistent action. You carve out a few consecrated minutes each morning. No phone, no distractions, just you and the embers of intention. You pore over a journal, thoughts, doubts, half-formed ideas, each written by hand in blood and ink honesty. The friction of pen on paper fans the flame, turning that initial spark into a glow that pulses beneath your ribs. You walk through your day seeking evidence of your purpose. In the face of a colleague's cynicism, you practice kindness with conviction. In the tangle of deadlines, you whisper your intention. This task serves my larger story. You transform each mundane act into a ritual. Pouring coffee becomes an invocation. Walking across the room becomes a pilgrimage toward your next spark. The world begins to shift. The same walls align themselves to reflect your fire back to you. Resistance rises, inevitable resistance that threatens to smother the flame. You feel the urge to sleep through motivations, to drown your longing in the comfort of Netflix or the numbing scroll of social media. You recognize this as the slag of old habits, the sediment that clings to every forge. You scrape it away with disciplined refusal. You turn off the phone at dusk, you refuse invitations that derail your ritual, you guard your margins as a blacksmith guards his furnace. You welcome tension as a sign you are alive. You lean into the discomfort of exposure when you share your emerging vision with a trusted friend. You speak the half-finished sentences that tremble on your lips, risking judgment because the crucible demands honesty. You accept the heat of real feedback, knowing that it refines, not fractures, the metal of your purpose. You learn to read the glow. On days when the ember flares brilliantly, you ride the momentum, writing 3 pages, designing a project, offering insight in a meeting that changes the energy in the room. On lean days when the flame flickers low, you stoke it with remembrance, reading a passage that inspired you, revisiting your first bold declaration, or simply breathing into the center of your chest, recalling the friction of pen on paper that once lit the spark. Gradually, you sense the metal of your life taking shape. What was once raw and unrecognizable begins to harden into form. Your rituals accumulate like layers of forged steel, a morning practice of reflection, a midday check-in of intention, an evening review of progress. Each layer tempers what came before, building strength and integrity. The rhythm of your days becomes a pattern, each beat forging the next length of purposeful steel. You face setbacks, projects that falter, relationships that strain, doubts that rise in the dead of night. You greet these challenges not as failures but as the hammer's blow, necessary to flatten and shape your raw material. You feel the sting of each blow, but you learn to hold the metal, to absorb the force, to reforge it into something stronger, more resilient. You welcome the heat of adversity, knowing it compresses impurities and aligns the grain of your becoming. You begin crafting artifacts of meaning, an essay that disturbs complacency, a workshop that sparks courage in others, a ritual you share that becomes a beacon for those still lost in the gray. Through these creations, you extend the warmth of your forge into the world. You realize that the fire you carry was not meant to stay inside but to ignite others. Each spark you send outward returns as a flicker in their eyes, feeding back into the collective furnace of human becoming. You stand now upon a shaped anvil, looking back at the untamed metal you once were. The glow of your purpose burns steady beneath your skin. You see the continuum of your forge, a path marked by embers, hammer strikes, and molten breakthroughs. You know this work is never complete. Each moment brings new ore to shape, new tension to embrace, new horizons to illuminate. You step forward with a steady gait, your heart the hammer and your will the anvil. You carry your forged life like a weapon of beauty, striking at the hardened shells of doubt, carving passageways of empowerment through the mundane. You remember the gray mornings you once endured and give thanks for the fire you dared to light. You have become the smith of your soul, the artisan of your destiny. In the crucible of your choices, you have forged meaning, unyielding, radiant, and alive. Now you carry that forge wherever you go, lighting the way for yourself and for any who follow.